Okay, here are my summaries for chapter 5 and 6 from the book Mindset. So, for chapter 5, the business mindset and leadership, Dweck explores the impact of mindsets within the business environment. She focuses on a company called Enron and how they focused on a fixed mindset primarily, and basically that's what led them to fail. So she kind of goes about talking about how that can be a positive and a negative when it comes to like business outcomes, like having a fixed mindset. So like the positive example of it is that people with a growth mindset in an organization prosper because their leaders surround themselves with a great team rather than just doing it all themselves and having some helpers here and there. A negative is an example can be when like a manager ignores the needs or feelings of those underneath them because they feel like they don't matter. So like those can be two instances like within the business realm of different mindsets. Within going through there, I can see that like Dweck focuses on topics that are becoming a greater question within the business world. For an example, male and CEO, whether they're synonymous, and that was one of the headliners in one of the chapters in chapter 5. And in that case, I brought forth that I don't believe that, because in this day and age, there are women that are CEOs and they're very successful in what they do. Example being Shelley Seward from Capture. And that's where I took my quote from. So on page 133, Dweck says, "I wonder whether in a few years I'll be able to write this whole chapter with women as the main characters." And I chose this because looking back now, she can do that. So it's funny to see how people thought not back in the day because she wrote this a few years ago, but to just see a few years ago even, they didn't even know if women could hold leadership positions. So today, many leaders are strong, independent females who've taken their companies and ran with them and just showed those who told them they couldn't be anything wrong. So I really like that because that's what I hope to maybe do one day. So Dweck also goes through and distinguishes like whether leaders, managers, or negotiators are born or made. I think that some can be born that way, but others, a lot of others, are self-made by learning and being taught by those around them. So they're being taught those traits to lead and be managers and things like that. For the reflection question, I said that your mindset can definitely help establish yourself as a leader without actually being in a leadership position, just because it shows initiative when you do so, and those above you can actually see what you do and how you work with others around you. And I'm just going to go back to the examples that I used earlier. So a good example can be working with others around you and utilizing their strengths along with yours to achieve the common goal. And a bad example would be not taking into account others' feelings and just doing your own thing because it shows selfishness in the workplace. These impact leadership because you can either grow with those around you with a growth mindset or limit yourself with a fixed mindset, and clearly that's the poorer choice. I can apply the growth mindset in my first job by just continuing to do what I've always been doing, by leading others and taking into account their ideas and using mine to help us hit our goals and make them. And going into chapter 6, which is relationships, mindsets in love or not. For a summary, overall, chapter 6 just kind of focuses on relationships, but also hones in on relationships within the workplace. It uses examples of a fixed mindset and being seen when a person has failed, that they're afraid to make that mistake again, because it shows their coworkers and others around them that they're vulnerable and they are afraid to do that again, which it happens more than once that you're going to make a mistake. So it just kind of, you need to get over that and grow from it, which sometimes it can be hard though. What I noticed is that chapter 6 doesn't really talk about a growth mindset. It kind of always talks about a fixed mindset, and how relationships don't really seem to work out because neither person is willing to work to establish or maintain the relationship. On page 160, it says, as an atmosphere of trust developed, they became vitally interested in each other's development. The reason I chose this quote is because when I look at my past relationships, there wasn't any trust. And going into this new one now, I was really hesitant to kind of open myself up again in the fear of being hurt, just because I know what it's like and it's not fun to go through that. It's a lot of work. But once that level of trust was established, I began to become more comfortable and vulnerable and giving myself up and talking about things and being able to grow as a couple. So I think Dakota kind of appreciates that I'm not a brick wall anymore. But still, some things go wrong, but when they do, he makes me sit down and talk about it because he knows I won't feel better until that happens. So it's really important to use a growth mindset just to continue to grow together and eventually wanting to see the other person succeed in everything that they do, because I truly want that for my significant other. So yeah, that is my summary for chapter 5 and 6. Thanks.